Hey guys, welcome back to Horror Film Lovers Mainstream Monday. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody. I'm here with
John Ward.
Sean Ward, and this is the second to last of the season. We've got one more Saw movie to watch, and then we're going to take a break for a month, I think. I think we're going to be, do two Januaries, and then we're done. And then February we'll take a break, and then we'll be back in March for I think another season. So I'm really excited. But to begin with, we're going to be talking about Spiral. The As you can see, the little spiral on there. Or
What's the full title, though?
well, Spiral from the Book of Saul.
There we go.
I don't know, is that the full title? I guess it is, because I guess that's how they always say it. But
Yeah.
I always hear people just say Spiral because it's easier to just say that, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Pardon me.
yeah, it's all oh wow, you really are sick today. Um, so I hope you don't have I just looked it up. There's apparently this norovirus. You don't have any diarrhea or anything, do you? And that's
No,
very
I mean
personal.
I'm at the tail end of COVID, so
Oh, COVID, that's right.
yeah,
I forgot you had that because, all right,
yeah.
well,
I'm. They say normally 14 days, and I'm a little more than halfway through that. So probably by the end of the week, I'll be okay again. But I
will
I
you be
just got to
back?
play it
Are
safe.
you still working at work, or are you just like,
I just went back, but I wash my hands a lot and use sanitizer and
do you have a mask?
spray and wear a mask and I'm taking Tylenol and a lot of the times I work by myself, so that works. I just wipe down everything when I'm done.
There you go. All right. Well, speaking of wiped out, we're gonna talk about Spiral, which is a what year was this? This was not 2000 and what? Like I want to say 19, maybe? 2021.
Uh,
Says 2021 was the artwork. So yeah, 2021. A film
yeah.
starring and produced by Chris Rock. Um he also yeah, that's it. He just produced and starred in it. And this is my 4K. So this is the first 4K I think that I've been able to show on this channel on the mainstream Monday because most of the stuff I have are just Blu-rays. So and it's cool. Look, it opens up and you just get the movie like that, and
Yeah, put a more
it's got a clear case, I guess, or whatever, or
nice.
slip case, and it's a steel book. So
Sweet.
there you go. I got this at Best Buy uh during I think it was 2022 or it wasn't, maybe it was last year. I don't know. It's one of those years. And it was down to like $8 at
Oh wow.
whatever like that. It was like really cheap. And I was like, a 4K that cheap? I don't care what it is. I'll still buy it, And then later I'll get the rest of the movies. And I did. I think I got somebody gave me the Saw movies. I think it might have been my aunt or something. Gave me the Saw movies on Blu-ray, and stuff. So, but I yeah, I'm happy. I got this. Did you watch it on one of yours, or did you watch it online?
Yeah, I got the original Blu-ray when it came out. So I
Uh,
saw it in the theater, and then when it came out on Blu-ray, I picked it up. So it's got its slip jacket, and
you
so
you saw it.
I saw it, and then I spiraled out of control because I needed to have it to
Uh,
fulfill the collection. So
yeah, that's the only reason I want it, is to keep it in the collection. No other reason, because I absolutely hated this movie.
you
Um,
hated this movie?
I hated it. I hated it.
Wow. So I've now seen this probably three times, and I think it is my third favorite one.
Uh,
I
it's one of my least
loved
favorite.
this movie.
I gave it 2 stars, man. I can't. And
Wow, that surprises me.
I will read my letterbox if you want, and you can
And
kind of.
this is, I think, probably one of the least Saw-y movies
I think that was my problem with it.
but I think that's why you would like it because you didn't like the other ones because they were very Saw-y. This is
I,
less Saw-y.
so if you're gonna make a Saw movie, make it a Saw movie. Like I'm okay, I'd be okay with that. But hold on, we'll get it there. There's a lot to it, but my letterbox explains a few things. I don't go into this huge review, or whatever
Okay.
of stuff on my letterbox, but I do at least give something more than just I didn't like it. It was not my favorite in the Saw franchise. I like the attempt, but it wasn't the greatest. Can't take Chris Rock seriously when he's cracking jokes almost the whole movie. It's like he couldn't do it without comedy and just took me out of the movie. He just him, period. Like, I'm sorry. I know he wanted to produce a Saw movie. Great. Produce a Saw inspired movie or something or whatever if you want to put comedy in it. Or don't put comedy in it. He was making jokes all the time, and I'm like, that's just rude, like as a
I'm
police
I'm
officer.
I'm gonna completely disagree with you on this.
Hmm.
Absolutely, completely disagree because people crack jokes all the time. They do movie
Yeah,
references all the time.
right.
And that's just and
and
that's
and and, and
his
some
character.
and I didn't like it. I didn't find it like I was telling you earlier, I watched Dead Heat, much funnier movie. But it was a comedy. This is not a comedy. Don't put jokes in a non-comedy.
Why can't so if you have a drama, you can't put jokes in it?
Not throughout the whole movie like that. Like it just bothered me. It's every
I
time
don't
he did
I
something,
don't think that it he didn't do it throughout the whole thing. I think that
I
he
think
just
he
acted
did.
like a
I
normal person and just
making
made
jokes most of the time.
comments.
And then of course he would not make jokes or whatever. He'd be serious, get into fights or whatever. And it's all the same bullshit you've seen in every fucking cop movie. I mean, I've seen Law and Order episodes similar to everything I've seen in this. It was derivative of, and it didn't, and then and my biggest problem was it was non-sawy, but they still had a jigsaw type thing with a guy in a pig mask, and the voice just made me cringe. It just was awful. Whatever voice they used was just god awful, and I hated it. I absolutely thought this movie was trash. Just absolute utter
I
trash.
absolutely completely disagree with you on this. Completely disagree with you. I was originally saying that I wish that since it's considered to be the Black Saw, that maybe there was a black director. I actually really now enjoy the directing of this film.
Mm.
That Darren Lynn Bousman, or however you say his name,
I like Darren Lynn Bousman. And the direction was okay. I mean, there's great shots, great
the color
whatever.
grading was really good. The camera movement was really good.
Right.
The editing is really good. I thought Chris Rock was really good.
I
I
no.
didn't I liked his comedy. I kind of liked his little Reservoir
And
Dogs
I
beginning.
saw the killer like a mile away. I saw it coming.
That's well, that's the problem. I knew it. I was pretty sure like, oh, that it's him.
Right.
But his partner, but you definitely know it when his partner is allegedly killed
But you never see his
and skinned,
body and
but you
stuff.
don't see anything. There's no video, there's nothing.
Right.
And so that's I'm pretty sure when I was in a theater, I'm like, oh, now I'm 100% sure it's the
And then
partner, and I don't know if that's intentional or not.
And when I saw like him going to his dad's, played by Samuel L. Jackson, which it was cool to see Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson together as father and son. I thought that was a pretty neat like little thing. I was happy with that. Like I'm telling you, I like at first I was like, okay, this is okay, and it just bothered me throughout the whole rest of the movie. But when I saw like him go into his dad's place and it did whatever, I was like, dad's a red herring, like absolutely a red herring. He's going to be captured by whoever the killer is, and he's going to be framed, and people are going to think he's the killer, and he's going to be one of the victims. I called it, and this is the only movie of the Saw franchise I've called. Also, since it's not a Saw movie, I was actually missing when people are captured together and they have to figure out puzzles and other shit. Like it just was like this is like if somebody did Saw but had the Saw for Dummies book, you know? Like it just was, or Cliff Notes to Saw. Like you just knew sort of the gist of what Saw was about, but you didn't actually make a Saw movie. There was no Jigsaw except for the pig face thing. And that, like I said, that voice was awful. It was like, I guess, was it a girl's voice or something? I don't even couldn't even tell what the
No, I
voice
think
was.
I think it's the partner's voice, but it's just manipulated.
It sounded awful. It sounded god
Did
awful.
not bother me at all.
It
No.
did. I mean, whatever. It bothered me from the second I heard it. I didn't like the pig mask. I thought that was stupid. I don't know. I get it. Pigs, cops, whatever.
But they've
Stupid.
used the pig mask in all the movies.
Did they? I never noticed
Yeah.
the pig mask.
Yeah.
I don't
The pig
remember the
mask
pig mask.
is in all the films.
But I didn't like I did it wasn't
But
a
it definitely had more symbolism in this one because of the police. Yeah.
yeah, so maybe that's why I just never really paid attention
And
to it.
instead of Billy, they had the puppet, the marionette. That's the
Mm.
cop. That's a pig. So that was his version of Billy. We
Uh,
also get the inclusion of the gifts that are sent to him in the wrapped packages. So that's
which
a little
is in
different.
every fucking cop movie you've ever seen. You know, the idea that I've seen a lot of cop movies where the cops get sent an ear or an eye or somebody's thing, and they're, this is not anything new at all. This is derivative of everything I've ever seen in cop movies. It really kind of just irritated me, and I'm so glad that right after this I watched Asphalt Jungle, which also had cops, and I was like, oh, better cop movie. And then I just started watching Bad Lieutenant, which I hate. Um, yeah,
What
you
about
know,
Bad Lieutenant?
yeah, because he's awful. He's a terrible human being. I know you're not. He's
But that's the
supposed to be.
point. Yeah, he's a bad
I
lieutenant.
know, but he doesn't seem to be growing at all or changing at all, and I don't like it. It just gives me like this, like,
Sometimes people don't.
well,
Sometimes
that's
it's
fine,
they're the same at the
but
beginning,
I
middle,
just
and
didn't.
end.
I'm not liking it. I'm just thinking it's just too mean spirited, nasty, and not fun. And I don't like movies where I don't have some enjoyment out of it. I just Paul likes that kind of shit. You seem to like that kind of stuff. I hate it. I want to enjoy what I'm watching. After a while, I'm just like, this is just bullshit. Like, why am I watching this? This movie had funness to it. So I at least will say that. Like, it didn't bore me at all, you know. It just irritated me, I guess, because I expect better from something Chris Rock produces, and I guess
He's the one who came to them with the idea.
that's what I'm saying.
He went to
Like,
Lionsgate.
yeah, he went to Lionsgate, said I want to do Saw, the next Saw movie. And I don't know. I like the bringing back the spiral stuff, like, and making that the big. I mean, it's so big it's the title of the movie instead of Saw. And they use saws in the movie, which I thought was neat. To bring back, like, there's that one moment where Chris Rock looks like he's gonna cut his hand off, and he's like, nope,
Yeah,
never
there's
mind.
the hacksaw. Yeah.
He's about to cut his hand off, like from the original Saw, and then he's like, nah, never mind. And like breaks free, without having to do that, which I thought was that was clever. Then that was good. Um, I just I just like the little teeny tiny things that got thrown in this movie. I just was like, I don't like it,
Wow,
and stuff.
I completely and absolutely disagree
And
with you
and
on
that's
this.
fine.
So
You don't have
completely.
like
I liked that the I like that it had more of a like a hip hop soundtrack to it. I like that they
well, I
changed
mean,
up the soundtrack and but
you're
still
making an
had the Saw
urban.
theme.
Yeah, you're gonna make an urban Saul, you know. You gotta throw in that kind of music, and then, you know, there's characters in there, like the beginning of the movie where with them like robbing, undercover, he's robbing which because it threw me off. I thought he was a bad guy at first. I didn't know, I didn't realize he was the cop. He was a cop or whatever. So
Oh, that didn't fool me at all because the trailer
yeah, I
showed
didn't.
that he
I
was a cop.
thank God I
So
didn't watch the trailer. For it. I probably seen the trailer years, when it first came out, but I hadn't seen it. Like, I didn't watch it before watching this movie, so no
I mean,
idea.
I also enjoyed that, and I think I've mentioned it on here, but maybe I've done it on something else. But I liked that black people are black people, white people are white people, and the sergeant is a woman.
Hmm.
And they don't mention any of this once. Chris Rock never goes up to one of the white cops and goes, "What do you want to call me? What do you want to call me? You want to use that word? You want to use that word?" It's never brought up,
Yeah,
even though they
everybody's just
dislike each other. They're just police officers. It's never brought up with the female sergeant that she's talking to Chris Rock at one point. He goes, "Do you know how hard it is to be a woman and be a police officer? Do you know how hard it was for me to become sergeant?"
mhm.
Not once, not
Nope.
once. This is how you do like an identity politics type movie,
Yeah.
and you actually have diversity in this,
It definitely was
and
a
it's
DEI
never
movie.
mentioned it.
It's definitely a DEI movie without being what is classified as woke, today
Yeah,
or
and
whatever.
I really liked that that was never a factor, that none of the white older cops never like did not listen to the female captain
Hmm.
or sergeant, whatever she is. And instead they listened to her.
Yeah.
These veteran cops that have been there for a long time, they listen to her because she demands respect, she has authority, and but it's not a like a strong female character type thing that people
Hmm.
put these days, which would mean that she's a Mary Sue. So
Right.
it's I really enjoyed that none of this had anything to do with the white cops are racist against the black
Right.
cops. It's
I
just
agree.
he's a snitch, that Chris Rock is a snitch, and they didn't like that. And so they don't like him, and including the black cop who doesn't like Chris Rock because the guy's a snitch.
Yep.
So,
He he told
and
on he was a rat. He turned on his boys in blue and but that is a trope that's happened in so many and I get it. Like, look, I can say this a million times and you can bring up the fact that this is what happens in real life. There's a cop who snitches and then all of a sudden it's really horrible for the rest of even I think Samuel L. Jackson brings it up is like now he's going to be a snitch and now he's not going to be Chris Rock is not going to be able to you know, walk around with his brothers, and stuff and be able to talk like that, and be trusted, in this, in the group and stuff. And so you know, okay, tell me this. So, Samuel L. Jackson retires from the police, community and everything, and then becomes a landlord for an apartment building. Is that what I got? Was I
yeah,
wrong?
yeah, that he retired, he bought an apartment building,
And
and
then
he's
he
the
gave
landlord of.
he gave his son free rent, basically.
Yeah, gave
Yeah.
him free apartment, and Samuel L. Jackson, the dad, lives like right below him.
Right.
So there's
Okay.
other people there, but yeah, that's what he did.
Okay.
Was he
Because he said landlord. I didn't know if they were joking or something. If there was some kind of joke and I missed it
No,
or something. Just because they lived in the same apartment complex, called him a landlord or something. But no. So he's the landlord. He got his keys. That's how he got into the house or got into the Chris Rock's apartment or whatever, and everything. Because at
yeah,
one point he comes to, he's like, "What are you doing in my apartment, Dad?" Or whatever. And he was like, I own this apartment. I can come wherever I want to come, especially since you don't pay rent. It's like, so I loved that dynamic. I wanted to see more of that, honestly, but I don't think there was a budget for Samuel L. Jackson to be in it for more than like a day or two. You know, I think that's why he's only in it for like the first uh in the 20 minutes he's only there for like 5 minutes and then so total probably 15 minutes total of running of
I mean,
time.
I think that he seems like one of those guys that would probably take a pay cut to help out probably to help out Chris Rock.
Yeah.
That it's to make this, to make kind of the Black Saw,
You
and
know what?
and
And Samuel L. Jackson's probably excited about it because he probably also loved horror movies and stuff too and just never gets cast in them because a lot of people can't afford them in those kind of movies because a lot of those horror films these days are only like $1 million to $10 million movies and I think that's basically the budget of $10 million is the budget for him for like a couple days, for
Well,
more
since we're talking about that, the budget on this was 20 million
20 million. Okay,
and
that's a
it made 40.6 million. So it doubled its budget, but I don't think it was considered to be, you
this
know,
is this is what drove me crazy the other day. I heard somebody say there are no mid movies anymore, right? This is a mid movie. Like this was made not mid like bad, like it was in the middle of good or bad, but like a mid movie, like not low budget like Hollywood standards, which are like one to 10, 5 to 10 million. And it's not high up like, it's not high up like a $120 million movie. I mean, 20 million to 50 million is in the mid range, you know, and stuff. And so movies like this still do exist. They just don't, they don't get as much attention as unless they're horror and Saw, you know, than some of the other obviously blockbuster movies, that
well,
are out there.
this is according to, let's see, so the film grossed 40.6 million against a budget of 20 million, becoming the lowest grossing installment in the franchise and received mixed reviews from critics.
Ha! So I'm not the only one who I'm mixed. See, that just proves it's mixed. You I mean, I didn't love it and you loved it. It seemed like you really enjoyed it. You know. I
I liked it because it's a little different. I mean, Jigsaw was pretty much a Saw movie, and I like that they did try something a little different, and I thought that it worked.
That's why they
I
didn't
would
call
have
it Saul, right?
I would, yeah, I think that they were trying to break. Well, that's why. I mean, Jigsaw, Spiral. I think that they would just try to move away from Saw and just do different stuff. But then once, of course, that this didn't perform as well, it's like shit. Now we got to go back to the Saw title. So we're going to do Saw 10 and just call it Saw 10 or Saw X. But I don't mind that they try to do something different. I would have liked to have seen a sequel. I would have, I like to see Spirals or something and find out what happened to to this guy, and maybe Chris Rock is after him. And I would have liked to have seen some further connections to the other movies instead of just a picture of Jigsaw or John Kramer, is maybe actually, maybe have a photo of Hoffman because he was a cop and
Yeah.
have him up there, or maybe even have a picture of Amanda, or have a picture of the reverse bear trap. Something else to kind of connect it to the other movies, because you would think if these are police and this is a Jigsaw copycat, that somebody would probably go, hey, wasn't there a cop back in the day? I think his name was like Hoffman or something, who was working with Jigsaw. And then somebody go, Hoffman. It was Lieutenant Hoffman or Detective Hoffman. Yeah, that's it. And then they would just move on. So I would have liked to have seen that little connection to
Yeah.
it.
They didn't do it. They
No,
didn't
because
do it
it
that
is
way.
a separate thing except for John Kramer.
Right.
It's a complete and total separate thing, which is
I,
fine because if you have Saw all the way down, and then you would have Spiral kind of going off this way, and then Saw.
I mean, I get it because like they couldn't make this an original movie, you know? I mean, this was too Saw-like to be, like just the traps and stuff that they had on everybody's heads and all the different things they had, which I mean, like I said, I wish there was more of the people, like a group of cops or whatever that were like kidnapped, and put in a place and they all had to figure out how to get out and
But you were
that
just
would have been
talking
fun.
about how this is like everything else. So now it's not. Now it's individual cops that are being killed. So that's different. It's not just a bunch of cops, just like in the other movies where it's a bunch of criminals
I
or
I don't mind. I didn't.
life
I
insurance
don't
people.
because that is Saul to me, right? And I get trying to be different than Saul because you're making something that stands out. But obviously, people, like you said, people didn't like it. There, I just saw it had a 38% splat for Rotten Tomatoes. Like that's low, like the critics really did not like it. It was 75% for the audience. The audience, I guess, liked it a little bit more, you know. But still, I mean, it's just one of those things where it just wasn't. I don't think it was good. I mean, I think it was, most of the people that I read the reviews of, they said it was predictable, you know? And I think it's because, like I said, it feels like every other cop movie and everything. And if they kept it the Saw thing, I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. Like if they kept it with uh them the cops trying to escape or something. I would have enjoyed that more. Other than that, I feel like they tried something and I just didn't like it, you know. I mean, you
I mean,
seem to really like it, so I mean,
I liked it, even though I could predict who the Jigsaw copycat person
I
is.
know. And you
I don't know if that was done on purpose or not, because it's too obvious. If every cop is done the same way and this guy isn't, then he's the killer.
right.
So that to me didn't make. And I was thinking about something while watching these. So I get John Kramer. He's like an architect or an engineer or something like that. Okay. What about all these other people that do these traps, Hoffman or Amanda or this guy, that the traps get more and more elaborate, because obviously each film has to outdo the other one.
Right.
So this guy in Spiral, I mean, you're talking, you would probably need to know architecture. You would have to be, know electronics. You would have to be an engineer. You would have to, all of these different things to, and then you'd also have to have money.
Uh-huh.
So you're setting these trap, like the guy with the fingers. That takes a lot of know-how.
Hmm.
So where are all of these people? And that includes Hoffman and all of them. Where do they learn all this? Like, how do they get the money? Like, I can for
YouTube.
the you, huh?
YouTube. That's how they learned
YouTube?
it. Yeah. They went on YouTube and asked, and searched how to make these death traps. And somebody on YouTube had oh, here, yeah, this is how you started. And
No, no.
you know
Because then all you're
what?
doing
That
is
would be
copying
great.
another trap.
Right.
You know, that's. But I mean, I guess that you have to let that type of thing go when you watch these. That so did this detective who tells us throughout the whole movie that he is the Jigsaw guy. I mean, I've been looking forward to this since I was 12. Your dad is my whole reason for being here. He tells us. So if you do a second viewing,
Well, no, no. I mean, it's in the first viewing because they have those flashback scenes, those little
they
flashbacks.
do, but you get that with the flashbacks. But if you were
Right.
to watch it from the beginning, I think that you, like most Saw films, you get a different outlook.
You'll
You
be
get a
like, yeah,
different.
now I know, now I know who the killer is, and so now I can look at it in a
Yeah,
different lens.
like in Saw 5, when Hoffman goes into the glass case, well, on your first viewing, you're like, oh fuck, he's in his own trap. And then it isn't. So when you watch it for a second time, you know that's not his trap, or it's his trap, but he's
Right.
safe, and the other guy gets squashed.
Right.
So it's. I mean, everything is right there, and I don't. There is stuff that is predictable,
Hmm.
and I think that there are things like, when did this guy have the time to make all this? I mean, and I guess that goes for any of the movies, is the thing that Samuel L. Jackson is hooked up to, where he's supposed to be like the puppet.
Uh-huh.
My God, that would take, like, how long did that take to put together and cost? But yet it seems like he's doing it all by himself.
And
Um,
he has a job. He has like apparently a job in which the guys Chris Rock explains, like, people divorce people over because they are whatever, because they're
well,
out
they're
too
never
much. They're
home.
never
Yeah, they're
home.
in danger. You're
Yeah, all of these things which when you marry a cop, you have to, you sort of have to already know that that's going to be the thing. And so, I mean, there were things I liked. Like I liked him talking about how women cheat in the daytime. I thought that was kind of funny, like kind of an interesting idea that, men cheat at night and women cheat in the daytime because there's much more time in the daytime, or whatever, that the normally 8 hours or longer the husband is out. So the wife, can do that stuff or whatever. And so, like, but, but that's the thing. This guy is not the wife, like he doesn't have 8 hours that he can spend daily, like to do this. I don't think he gets like days off. Like he's a cop. He has to always be working, all,
Well, I mean, unless he put all of this stuff together before his first day.
I
So
guess.
he transfers, and because he goes, do you have any idea how tough it was to get to be your partner? So I
Yeah,
don't know, maybe within the time of him graduating or wherever he was before, and then his first day, he built all these traps, which then he would have to keep an eye on because you would have homeless people and all these, people that would, I mean, shit, people go into buildings to steal the copper wiring, like they'll rip the walls right open.
right. And this is what,
So
where is this at? Like California or New York? Where is this supposed
I
to
think
be?
it's supposed to be like Chicago or something. I don't think
Chicago.
it's, I
Okay.
think,
So Saul didn't
does
take
it
place in
say?
Chicago.
No, but
Right?
this is a different, let me see, maybe it says it.
Spiral.
Let's see, plot. Oh, and by the way, this is a 4th of July movie. So you can watch this with Jaws and I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Perfect. And Uncle Sam.
And, oh, yeah, okay.
Did we do
As I'm
that with
sure,
you? Did we do that with you? I think we did.
yeah, I was, yeah, I
And you were
didn't
a
like
part
it
of
too
that one.
much. Yeah. Meanwhile, several, yeah, it doesn't say. So maybe it's just supposed to be any town or any city, USA. Like you'd have to look at a
Where
license plate.
did Spiral Book of Jesus Christ? Spiral Book of Saul take place? Book. I am so slow today. Place. Okay. Um. Yeah. It takes place in the same area as the previous Saw films, but an unspecified number of years after the events. Spiral is filmed in Toronto, Canada, but I don't. That's not where it takes place.
No,
Um. Okay, so somebody asked, where do Saw movies take place, right? And Spiral features Chris Rock as a detective dealing with some very well designed murders in a city that resembles New York, or is it Chicago, or is it Los Angeles? So they don't ever actually say anything. I don't like that, like that it can be every, I guess that works because then somebody who lives in DC could be like, that seems like something that could happen in DC, you know, or
well, I
whatever.
think maybe if I should have looked, but a license plate might tell us, unless they did nondescript license plates. But it's if because you would think anything would with John Kramer would be L.A. Because since the first three movies were shot, I believe, in LA, and then they moved up to Toronto. But I think normally the Saw movies are supposed to be LA.
Okay.
So this one could be New York or Chicago because it definitely didn't look like LA when you
No.
looked at the buildings.
Buildings, and then the was it the subway, thing, and stuff, that area there, I guess, or whatever. Like I didn't feel like that was very LA like, so I don't think there are any subways in LA, only like New
There's
York or
there's trains. I used to take one from Pasadena to LA to go to school,
uh
but it's not a normal
mhm.
thing. I mean, it's unlike, yeah, like something like New York that has
A ton
the
of them.
subways,
Yeah.
yeah, everywhere. So so if this is supposed to take place in the same location as Jigsaw, then I guess maybe it is supposed to be LA. Because I think you would think if, wherever John Kramer is, it's got to be LA.
Right.
Or at least I would assume it's LA. So if the guy in Jigsaw, who was the first apprentice of John Kramer, when he's working with John Kramer, I would assume that's LA.
Mm-hmm.
But him redoing the traps and everything present day, I guess that could kind of be anywhere.
Could be. I don't know.
So,
Who knows?
you know, I'm
Uh,
excited for Saw 10. So I want to.
I'm excited to watch that too, honestly. Mainly because, like, I mean, it's written by the same guys who did this one and did Jigsaw, and I like Jigsaw a lot better, and stuff. So maybe I like Saw 10 because it comes back to the original stuff. Also, Joe Turk wants to hear my opinion on Saw X, so I'm excited to talk about it because that was like his favorite or something of the sequels.
It's
So
my second favorite.
so
Yeah,
I
Saw 6 being my first. So
yeah, it was Saw 6. That was the which was the political one? Is that Saw 4 or Saw 6?
no, Saw 6 is the, yeah, like more political. It's the insurance ones.
Insurance one. I like that one too. I think
So
that might
Saw
be
X follows that it's kind of the same idea.
okay. So
So
that's
I
why you
think
like it
that's,
too, because it brings
yeah, because it's yeah, because it deals with kind of the same thing.
okay. Well, I'm excited about that. I don't know. I just honestly, this movie, and the killer and everything was so predictable and so boring to me. Like I felt like I feel like I expected more from them, and maybe that is part of the problem is that I had higher expectations. It's the same thing with I really enjoyed Nosferatu, but uh I think like the hype and the feel and the everything was too higher than what I expected when I actually watched it, and stuff. So I feel like that happens a lot as like, oh, this is the Chris Rock Saw. So this is gonna be fun to review and to talk about and I watched it, I'm like, oh, this is the Chris Rock Saw. Like this wasn't what I would. This didn't. I didn't. I don't know. And plus, Darren Lynn Bozeman, I expected more. I guess from him. You know. So I don't know. It's not a terrible movie. It's just not my favorite, and it's not. It's yeah. It's kind of a 2 star for me. You know.
Yeah, it even has a different editor on it, so it does have a
Oh
different feel. It's not the same editor as all the other ones.
yeah, that's another thing probably that threw me off. Because I know, like, I talk trash about Saul, period, because I just don't like torture and stuff. But Uh, but like I guess it's it's one of those things where when it's gone, when it's missing, you fond for it. You're like, oh, this is what I was expecting it to be like, and now it's not what I got. Like I expected a bunch of people, and I got people separately being attacked and talked, or whatever, and it just felt like. And plus, the death traps didn't seem like they were fair. Like, I don't think anybody was ever supposed to live through them again. And I think that goes back to like that feels like a Hoffman thing, not a John Kramer thing. And
Well, I mean, if we look at the trap, so we have the very first one with the tongue. So I
right,
guess if he ripped off his tongue, he could have just run away. But
right,
he only had 2 minutes to, and that was a pretty long, that was like a Gene Simmons length of
yeah,
tongue
yeah,
there. And so that one he could get out of, I guess, if he really worked at it.
right.
And then we have, I don't know in what order they come. There is that uh saw traps. Um yeah, here's the saw wiki. Um so let's see here. That's Saw, but we want. Is there a search so I can do Spiral? Oh, search. Okay. So Spiral. Okay, so let's see here. Spiral. Um, okay, so plot. Let's see. Meanwhile, cast. Okay, normally they give the traps, but I don't
You
see
don't see them?
anything. Train tunnel
Let's see if I see anything.
motion. No, it talks about the score. Yeah, I don't care about the score. I want the traps.
Hmm. The plot doesn't have the traps in them? Okay, meanwhile, okay, so Boswick is hit by a train and killed. Meanwhile, homicide detective Fitch, who several years prior has ignored a backup call from Banks, resulting in Banks nearly getting killed, is abducted and placed in a trap where he must allow a device to rip his fingers off. So that's the next one. To avoid electrocution in a filling water basin. Yeah, so fails to escape and dies. Uh,
So let's look at each one then. So we have the first one with the tongue, the next one is with the fingers, and each one is supposed to represent something with the cops. So the tongue is he lies on the witness stand, puts innocent people in jail. Then the one with the fingers is because he, what was the finger one?
um, this hobby
That
shop.
was because
Okay, so the third one was the sergeant lady, Garza. So she's the third one. And that was like Garza's kidnapped and placed in a trap in the precinct's cold storage where she has to sever her spinal cord on a blade to stop boiling wax flowing from a pipe onto her face.
so with the fingers, let's say he beat the timer, his fingers were all pulled off. Would it then like give some sort of like a spring? Like the fingers get pulled off and it goes back
Yeah,
and that alerts the machine to stop?
I think so.
Okay. So then with the face one, with the wax, with the female sergeant, that's where I got confused. How would the machine know when she severed her spinal cord? And that one, I'm guessing because she doesn't have a spine, like she
Yeah.
she
She
let
was
the
spineless, yeah,
yeah
because
spineless.
she let everything go and covered everything up or whatever.
Yeah. So how would because she you could see her neck being cut on the blade, but then how would the blade know? Because if she severed her spinal cord, she wouldn't be able to move. And the
Um,
wax was already dripping on her like instantly. There was no like, oh, you have 2 minutes to sever your spinal cord, otherwise you're going to get hit with all this hot wax. The hot wax was already there.
Yep. And then the next one is he then discovers his former partner, Peter Dunleavy, who was imprisoned when Banks exposed a murder he committed, chained in place. In front of him is a large glass cutting machine. Look, that was pretty bad. Like I was like, ah, like Yeah.
I don't understand the point of the machine if you're not trying to kill somebody. So if you work there, if you're an employee, why is this thing spraying glass everywhere?
Uh, um, so tape recorder explains that Banks can choose to either free him or leave him to die. Although Banks attempts to save Dunleavy, he cannot get at the key in time. He uses was it uh, some kind of shield, like a
It uses a garbage can.
garbage can as a shield, and does that, and then
And the glass is because that's the cop who shattered
yeah,
Chris Rock's career, like the
right,
Banks's career. So
right.
there's that. So there has to be with the fingers. I'm still trying to think. It has to have something to do, I don't know, typing or computer or not putting in correct information. Um, and then we think that well, there's the misdirection of the partner being killed, who's skinned,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't make a lot of sense because that means the partner has the Charlie tattoo, which we're supposed to think is the kid,
Right.
his son, but it's actually the dad. So he got a tattoo kit and tattooed Charlie perfectly onto the guy's arm and then cut it. So that would take time because you're having to look at your own arm or a picture
Mm-hmm.
and you're having to do it perfectly. And then you got to skin the person, which I don't know if his fingerprints are there, or yeah, if his fingers are there, they could get the fingerprint. But and that one didn't make a lot of sense because it wasn't a trap. It was just that the person was skinned.
So Shank was his name, right? Because yeah, it says upon arriving, the team discovers a tape recorder and a skinned corpse, identified as Shank. I guess was his Yeah, because it said a box then arrives at the station containing a pig puppet and a piece of Shank's tattooed skin inside. Later, if you find out that his skinned corpse was Shank. Okay.
And it's a note.
Yeah. So, uh, Banks then finds Shank, who is then revealed to have faked his own death by using the skinned corpse of a thief who lured Boswick into the tunnels, and has been a copycat all along. He explains that his last name is actually Emerson, the son of Charlie Emerson, who was the man Dunleavy killed because he agreed to testify against a dirty cop. He also reveals that Marcus, during his time as chief, deliberately protected corrupt officers to clean the streets of crime more efficiently under Article 8. Believing that Banks can be an ally, Emerson presents him his final test, revealing Marcus, the father, suspended above the floor and slowly being drained of blood. Emerson's called to 911 and claims that he is a civilian being pursued by a shooter, resulting in a dispatch of SWAT team. He hands Banks a revolver with one cartridge and offers him the choice to either shoot a target that will save Marcus but allow Emerson to escape, or to kill Emerson and let Marcus bleed to death. Banks shoots the target to save his father, causing his restraints to loosen and lowering him to the ground. He might as well have shot. He should have shot Banks, or not Banks. He should have shot Emerson, because if he had shot Emerson, no more copycat, and his dad would have died anyway. You know, I don't think he knew that exactly, but he should have. I think even his father told him to shoot the son of a bitch.
I
You
mean,
know,
I guess because it's in the moment, but you shoot Emerson, and then since they're in kind of this place that's kind of in ruins in a way, that maybe he could find a board, he could find something to
yeah,
hit the
to
target
target.
with,
Yeah,
and then you know the dad would fall to the ground.
yep.
So I don't, I mean, I would pretty much assume that the dad would bleed out anyways.
I mean, it was a
I mean, he
cool,
lost a lot of blood.
marionette puppet thingy, but honestly, Eh, yeah, to me, honestly, one of the coolest traps or whatever was that public trap with those that two guys and the girl. You know, that's probably one of my favorite traps in all of Saw.
Oh, from
Just
Final Chapter.
yeah, from the final chapter, which is not one of my favorites movies, but that was one of my favorite traps. At least that had that, to go for it. But this movie, this movie just felt like, I don't know. It was just kind of blah to me, you know? The traps were blah to me. I feel like I've seen them before, nothing really too, you know, too original or whatever. And I don't know. All in all, this movie was just like not something I want to put on again. I do like having it in 4K. I'm not gonna get rid of it as part of my Saw collection, but I want all of them on 4K at some point, you know. Um, maybe it's down the road because I saw it, already, right? And I know the stuff in it, and maybe a second glance, I will, you know, have a different take on it, but and maybe some of the stuff won't bother me as much. But the first time, first night, just bothered me. Just all of this stuff, like, just it felt like laziness, you know. For Saul. That was that's my opinion.
I would completely disagree because it's different. So it's not, to me, it's not lazy. They were trying to do something different. Lazy would be just copying all the other movies.
It copied it enough where, I mean, if you didn't know this was from the Book of Saul, you saw Spiral, and you didn't hear the name John Kramer, you still would have thought Saul, you know,
Well,
obviously.
yeah, because you have to make it the same to a degree so people will go see it and know it's a Saw movie, but it's still different from all the other movies.
Mm,
Jigsaw is a Saw movie. I mean, it is. It just
mhm,
follows. It just has that time twist.
right.
This doesn't have that twist. I mean, it does, I guess, for who the killer is if you can't figure it out. But my problem with him is that he is just kind of vanilla.
Yeah.
That as a cop and us not supposed to suspect that he's the Jigsaw, copycat, I thought that was fine. You know, but as a killer, I thought that he was kind of bland. That it was not interesting like Amanda or Hoffman or some of
Yeah.
the other people. I thought that he was just, unless they were hopefully hoping for a sequel, then they would expand on his background.
Yeah. But they were probably
But
hoping
oh,
for a sequel because they wanted to bring this guy back. They let him free, So,
yeah, they even did kind of the Saw-esque type ending with, like, the door closing, but
yep,
to an elevator instead of a bathroom.
right. So he's free, he's free to be doing all the rest of this stuff, but honestly, I don't care. Like, I don't know if I'd want to watch a Spiral 2, you know. And obviously, if it got 38% and 75% Rotten Tomatoes scores, I think people just didn't enjoy it as much, A lot of people just were like, this wasn't their Saul, This is
No,
not
that's
my
that's why
Saul.
Saw X made so much money. That it kind of
Um,
revitalized the series. So
it's kind of funny then because, they had to do something bad in order to get something good, to get things people wanted because they were like, oh man, we miss Saul. It's kind of like them doing Halloween 3. Then when the Halloween 4 came around, people were probably like, yes, Michael Myers is back. Thank God.
well, see, I'm not going to say they have to do something bad because I liked it. They did something different, and people did like it. That's what I'll say.
Okay, that's fair. They did something different and people didn't like it. I didn't
But
like
you
it.
never know. I mean, if you're talking about Halloween 3, everybody hated Halloween 3 when it came out, and now it's like a cult classic. So who knows? Maybe, in time, when
Maybe.
we looked at, the whole retrospective of Saw, maybe Spiral, is probably going to be the black sheep, of the family, of the Saw family, but it might be looked at in a different way.
Maybe I like Halloween 3. I was just using that as an example of like, they did something different and people didn't like it. So they said, "Oh no, we need to go back to Michael Myers." And in this, they did something different. People didn't like it, so they go, "Oh my God, we got to bring John Kramer back. Otherwise, people are just not gonna
Well,
care."
and that I would agree with. Yeah. I
But
mean, they wouldn't have done what they did if Spiral worked.
maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's why I didn't like it was because I didn't know like the audience. I didn't know the audience score. I didn't know anything until we started reviewing this. I thought, you know, I was guessing that since they didn't make a Spiral 2, that Spiral 1 didn't make enough money, or whatever, like that they decided to go to Saw X sort of makes sense. But it becomes those things where I'm so annoyed because like Friday the 13th, I'll use that as an example. Friday the 13th, they went and like they call instead of Friday the 13th part 9, they called it Jason Goes to Hell. And that was because there was some issue with the name Friday the 13th.
Yeah, it
That
was a copyright issue.
yeah, and New Line had the rights to Jason, but didn't have the rights to the name Friday the 13th or whatever. So New Line put out Jason Goes to Hell, but then they made the Friday the 13th reboot, So it becomes like all of a sudden there's, Jason X and then there's Friday the 13th again, you know? And it becomes this thing where Spiral, there was Saul uh 7, which was like the final chapter, and then it becomes Jigsaw Spiral, and then all of a sudden we have Saw X, you know because we have to bring back the Saw name to the franchise to get people to come back to it, you know or whatever. In my opinion, I think that's what they were hoping, you know and
Well, yeah,
as
I would more or less agree with that because everybody knows the name Saw. So
everybody
it's
knows Friday the 13th. Everybody knows the name's Jason. Nobody knows Spiral as the name. They just know what it is in the Saw movies. That it's a thing in the Saw movies, or whatever. So they have to still call it the Book of Saw. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It wasn't my favorite, but I will gladly watch it again in another year or two, whatever, sometime down the road and give it another try. Uh, might have to do that for all the movies and just binge watch them or something, you know. Um, just check them out again. But I'm happy to own it. And once again, I want all the Saw movies on 4K. I got this, and I got Saw X on 4K, now. So got the two newest Saw movies on 4K. So I need to get the rest eventually on there. And I need to get all the Child's Play movies on 4K. I need to get all the I think do the Strangers movies, are those on 4K? I don't think they're on 4K yet. Unless like
that
the
I have no
newest
idea.
one, you know. But I gotta get them all. Gotta get them all eventually, you know.
I mean, I have them on Blu-ray, but that's about it. Not the new one, but the first two.
Pray at Night.
Yeah,
You have that one.
and the first, yeah, but I have the first two. I haven't. I'm going to at some point pick up the new one, but it's this stuff is just so expensive. I have to wait till it's like
I
a year later, buy it used.
I think I have the Purge, at least the first three Purge movies on 4K, So I've got like Purge, Purge 2, and then Purge Election Night, I think. Or the three ones I have or something. So that's eventually we'll have to do that as well, maybe after the next one, you know, or whatever. All right,
Yeah.
John. Well, I think that's about it. I mean, is there anything else you wanted to make mention about?
No, I mean, I would give this a good review. I
So
think
what
it's
I gave my 2 stars. What would you give it out of 5?
three and a half.
3.5.
So 3.5. Yeah.
Okay. So it
More
wasn't.
towards 4, but not, but I would do 3.5.
What did I give? I gave Jigsaw something I know was higher than a 2, but I could be wrong. Um,
Because I know I would go Saw X. No, I'm sorry, Saw 6, Saw X, then probably Spiral, then Saw 5. Um, yeah, but then I'd have to think about where the other ones would go. But I think Spiral and Saw 5
mm,
might move. One might be depending on my mood.
I had to have given. I put Jigsaw up there. Did I not do it? I guess I didn't do a rating for it. I know I did. I know I put it on my Blu-rays I watched in December. Yep, I gave that a 4 stars. Wow. I like Jigsaw a lot better than I remember liking it.
Uh,
But yeah, it's been a few weeks, so I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think I did write it down as 4 stars. So 4 stars for Jigsaw and 2 for this one. I know that's blasphemy to you, but sorry. That's just that's the way the cookie crumbles.
hey, should
It became Siskel and Ebert today, you know? I mean, I don't know which one I am. I don't want to just assume I'm Siskel, you know, or whatever, because I am getting a little chubbier these days,
uh,
you know. But I guess I would be Siskel because Siskel hated on a lot more horror films than Ebert did, I think. Did he? No, maybe it was mix and match a little bit.
I think it depends on what it was,
Yeah.
But Ebert was the one, who constantly said to Siskel, "I wrote a porno," because he did that Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
I want to
So
buy
he,
that. That's on Criterion. So I want to get that at
oh,
some point.
okay.
That's a Criterion film, like a movie that I think Roger Ebert laughs at, like that he did, like he wasn't, I wish he had written more movies, you know, that would have been cool to see more Roger Ebert written, or if he had directed a movie. Could you imagine what movie he would have done, you know?
I think it probably would have been awful. I have a love-hate relationship with them. So, and I even met Roger Ebert. So I met him at Sundance,
You
and
think he would have been a bad director?
I I don't think critics should probably make movies.
Aren't we critics?
Not on their level.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not writing for the Chicago Tribune or anything, but I mean, we can use our knowledge of movies and making movies and stuff like that to talk about these films. But since especially like Siskel has really never done anything except for reviews. At least Ebert did write a screenplay.
Oh, there you go.
So, it's I don't like critics that haven't done anything,
Hmm.
and it's like, well, what right do you have to, it's like a reviewer reviewing paintings who's never painted. You have no idea what it goes into painting because you've never
Well,
painted.
so one of my teachers was an actor, right? Like one of my theater teachers was a former at that time former actor. He quit acting and he decided to become a teacher. So he could give us some really good insight into theater because he lived it. He's done it. So when he would come up to me and tell me how to, what to do and how to do it better, right? Like I could trust him because he was he had been in my shoes at some point or another, right? So that's how I feel about when a when somebody like that, like if a critic were criticizing something, I would love that they would actually know. I mean, I guess with critics it can be about taste, right? Like it's pretty much about taste. So if Roger Ebert doesn't like something but Siskel does, Gene Siskel does, then it's just they have different tastes, you know? Just the same as I said, I didn't like Bad Lieutenant because I just found it to be um mean-spirited and everything, and that's the point, right? But if I don't like watching those things, that's not my taste. Somebody like you who doesn't mind watching that kind of stuff and watches it for the dark, kind of tone or whatever, you're gonna like it more than I will, you know?
Well, yeah, there is that. I remember when Siskel and Ebert reviewed The Punisher, the one with Thomas Jane and John Travolta,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was Siskel who goes, "Oh, I wish it wasn't so violent," and Ebert goes, "The film is called The Punisher, and he's, "Oh, well, you know." So it's yeah, I mean, I guess that you could just, but I don't think that I would ever go into a gallery and judge paintings
No.
if I know nothing about painting. Like I have four paintings on my wall and they're all different degrees, but I like them for various reasons, but I can't tell you the technique. I can't tell you any of that type of stuff.
You
I
can't tell
just
you
know
the
if I,
texture. You can't tell them the
yeah, I don't know what paints they
textiles,
used
Yeah.
or anything like that. I
No,
mean, I know nothing, so I have no right
but as
to
somebody who
judge a painting.
loves movies like Gene and Roger did, and us, we love movies, right? We love watching movies. This is probably something we've done way before we started making movies. We watched them. We got together with family and we would do that. So when we review you know, a movie, we also are thinking about, what do we like? You know, I like, and me for the Spiral movie, I kept thinking this just kept bringing up, I feel like I've seen this movie like a billion times, this kind of cop stuff, like I've seen too much of it. And so it takes me out of the movie. I get it. It's really hard to make movies about cops without kind of going into tropes and stuff that people have done in millions of other times. So it's
Sure.
it's tough, but it felt like there's just too much derision and too much predictableness. When I can predict who the killer is, I never predict it. I don't even predict it when I watch the Scream movies, and those are like probably very predicting, stuff, or whatever. I don't usually predict them, but at that I called it. I was like, oh, why is it that guy? And then I see him and I'm like, he's the most milk toast killer we've ever had in any of the Saw movies.
Well, yeah, it is a little, I mean, it's that it's like they did with like the remake for My Bloody Valentine, where the guy returns home, like he's been gone for a long time, he returns home,
Mm-hmm.
and right when he gets
Vincent
back,
Ackles.
yeah, that's when all of the killing starts happening. So everybody assumes it's him. And so you have to you gotta twist it to, like
Right.
you said, a red herring. So you
Right.
have to give something to, let's say, Samuel L. Jackson's character for us to go, oh, it's got to be Samuel L. Jackson
They
because he hates
tried. They
these police.
tried.
And
They
but
tried.
this guy shows up. This milk toast guy shows up right when the killings happen, and it's like, oh, it's him.
I just wish it was Samuel L. Jackson. Like maybe he was upset because he had to cover up everybody and he was tired of everything and he wants to whatever. Like he had some kind of thing of maybe he just cracked and became crazy. Something, whatever. I wish it was him. It would have been more fun to me. I think he would have been a great villain.
Well,
Um,
and you black people aren't serial killers.
yeah. So it'd be
That's
fun to
there's
see
only
that.
been like two,
Yeah. So it would
and
have been cool, like to have this white guy, or I thought he was Hispanic at first. I don't know if he
I think he is Hispanic, yeah.
Hispanic guy. Okay, Hispanic guy. But he had like names that sounded very white, like Emerson, or whatever. That does not sound like a Hispanic name or whatever. But anyway, not my whatever. So they had that guy, and he was just so boring. But then if you had Samuel L. Jackson as the killer, he would have been like, "Yo, motherfucker, You would have been Samuel Jackson as a serial killer, as Jigsaw. How fucking cool would that have been? Like they just
Why?
missed an opportunity because maybe they were afraid, like not letting the cop be the killer, like the head cop guy, I don't know. It's just, or who would have been a better Emerson than the guy that played him? I think if you got Jack Quaid, he would have done great. Like I could have seen Jack Quaid doing that part and probably adding some more fun and flair to it.
But he's already been a killer,
I know, I know. I think this would have been, was this
and
before or
and and
after
he's
Scream 6
and he's
or 5?
white.
5.
So it's I like that you have the black cops, so you got the Hispanic cops, and you got the
Hmm.
white cops, and you got so it's nice because so far, I mean, I guess have all of the Jigsaw people been white? Would
All the bad
Hoffman?
guys, yeah. Hoffman. Well, wait. Hoffman's played by Costas Mandylor, which I don't think
Yeah, so is
is.
he Spanish?
Yeah, I think he's Hispanic. I think
Maybe
Mandylor
like
is Hispanic. Let
yeah,
me let
I
me look
think
him up, but I think he's the closest. He's the closest to that, right?
I mean, I don't I like the actor is fine. It's just that he's just boring. He's just kind of a boring
He's
killer.
fine. Fine is always your boring, you know. Whenever you say the movie was fine, it was kind of boring. It wasn't like it was.
It's middle of the road. It's fine. It's like Brett Ratner's directing is fine. It's like, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's not good. It's not bad. It's kind of in the middle. He gets the job done. He comes in under
It's
budget.
my version
It's
of
fine.
cute. It's cute. It doesn't say what. Hold on. What? Uh, what? What's it called? Wh- what? What was it called? With your? Is it race? Race sounds bad, but race is Costas Mandalore. I'm looking up what Costas Mandalore. I'm pretty sure he's Hispanic, but what
Maybe like,
ethnicity
yeah,
is he?
he
He's
might
Greek. He's
be.
Greek.
Oh, he's Greek. Oh, okay.
Yeah, parents. Costas was born in Melbourne, Australia, so he's also Australian. To Greek immigrants Louise and Giannis Theo Theodosopoulos. Um, Costas has a younger brother named Louis, who's also an actor. And Costas took a shortened version of his mother's maiden name because his real name is too long. In Greek is too long. Okay. So his original name was Costas Theodosopoulos. Yeah. I'm so glad he changed. They both changed their name to Mandalore. It sounds cool, you know. And I
Right.
like Hoffman. Is Hoffman back for the next one? You gotta tell me that. That's okay. It's not a spoiler for me. Is he back for Saw X or no?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I love him. So I met him at a horror convention and we're in the elevator together, chatting,
Yeah.
and everything. I didn't watch Saw back then, so I didn't know anything or really what to talk to him. I probably told him I liked the Saw movies just to not be a dick and be like, I never watched your movies. Sorry, Costas, if you're watching this, which I doubt you are, because why would you watch a video about something you weren't in?
There you
You're
go.
in the series, but all right. Anyway, I'm just jibber jabbering now. So we already did our little review. We'll be back in hopefully a couple weeks or so. We gotta schedule a time to do it, but we're gonna do Saw X. So like Jason X, Saw X. When we're gonna get Freddy X? I can't wait for that one. And Chucky X. We haven't gotten to Chucky 10 yet. So Chucky X, you know.
Well, Chucky would have a name, Shadow of Chucky or you know,
No, but
um,
it might just be Chucky X. Why not?
So far, there hasn't been a number on. Well, there's been a number on like part three, but
In
two
part
and three
two,
have numbers. But once Don
uh,
Mancini took over, then it became
Bride of
titles:
Chucky, Bride of
Pride,
Chucky,
Blood, yeah, Curse.
Cult, those things. So fun,
I mean,
Seed,
unless he wants to do a
Seed,
spoof. I mean,
Seed of
because
Chucky, greatest title ever, Seed of
Seed of
Chucky.
Chucky, yeah.
Because even if that, I've never seen that one. I've saw Bride, I haven't seen Seed. So that would be a fun thing. We are gonna be doing Chucky soon, so don't worry, people. We'll be going through those. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited. I think 2025 is gonna have some really fun horror film lover stuff coming up. Not just mainstream Monday, but it's gonna be a fun like year for the
Sure.
channel. So all right, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Come back, join us in a couple weeks where we're gonna do the last episode of the season, and that will be Saul X. And I hope my expectations are not too high. I'm gonna try to keep them level, because who knows if I'll like it or won't like it, you know. So we'll
Only you
find
can
out.
figure that out.
Yep, we'll find out. Until then, everybody, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.